Go with the flow. The 11th verse from our passage in Romans says, "And do this, understanding the present time, the hour has come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed." Our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. Those words have a nice ring to it, don't they? On this first Sunday of Advent, we opened our time this morning to light the candle of hope, a little speck of light in an otherwise dark world. Several weeks ago, I made a comment about how gloom and doom the lectionary or the series of scriptures offered, how dark they seem to be, and it made for a rather dark set of sermons. We talked about the manager who tried to make his dishonesty right before his master, and how we often try to hide the truth from God. We shared the tears of the church as the people have left, and she struggles to find her place in the world. We talked about the persistency of faith in continuing to trust in God when He feels as though He has left us standing on our own. We sat here to listen to God's Word when it felt as though He was just kind of simply smiling at us and saying, "Suck it up. You're on your own." At least for now. This feeling is not a new feeling. The Jews of Israel felt this way for centuries. Day in and day out, they waited for that hope of light that we lit this morning, as they waited for their salvation to come just a little closer. They lived in a world of darkness, a continual night. The Jews were longing for that flicker of hope to break through the night to show that a new dawn was about to break. The passage from Matthew this morning took place as Jesus was sitting in the Mount of Olives, actually having some quiet, private time with His disciples. It was there that they inquired about the coming Messiah, the salvation for a people a long time waiting and trusting that God would come to relieve their darkness. Sitting there on that hill, Jesus retells the synopsis of Noah, that until the time comes, no one will know when or where it is to be. Be watchful, Jesus says. Be prepared, He warns. Be faithful, Christ encourages. If we are to assume that the disciples knew Jesus was the Son of Man, as they sometimes seem to grasp and other times failed, then to hear these words of encouragement and hope had to be a flicker of light, a foretelling of what was about to happen. You see, they had already missed the first Christmas. They had missed by some 30 years the birth of the one who was to bring hope. They rested in the trust of the hope that was to be brought by Jesus for the world. For them, for the disciples, their darkest days were yet to come. For in order for them to understand the light, the night had to grow just a little bit darker through Christ's death. Yes, it is always darkest before the dawn. For us today, it's a little bit different. There are people who live their lives like the Jews of ancient Israel. They're bound to a world of darkness. They long to find some light in their world, but for them it's nowhere to be found. And you know who these people are. They're the ones who grumble about everything they have. There isn't enough cash to get around. The hours they work are long and unfair for their salary. Their house is never clean or is in a constant state of repair. They rarely smile, and when they do, it's usually short-lived because something else is about to go wrong. We know these friends and relatives, and yes, sometimes we even fall prey to these emotions. It's called life. Is there one of us who would not like to find that our salaries, our income, would actually pay the bills and provide us a little more comfort? I don't know of a person who would not like a raise and or a reduction of hours, so long as it didn't affect what they were bringing home. There's not a person who would not enjoy coming home to find the house cleaned, especially to find the dishes in the laundry done, put away, folded. But these are the minor problems we face. Others deal with greater concerns. During the holidays, depression and loneliness tends to run rampant in our culture. Attempts to make us happy or to settle our needs and wants have a tendency to creep into our lifestyles. There are those who look for the quick fixes, such as drug, alcohol. Some even find adultery may be okay if it's only once, because we're looking for some relief, some hope from the pain in which we endure. We cope with family members who are struggling with health issues. We try to work with our kids who want to simply give up because they are learning that life is much more difficult than they anticipate. In short, we have become the ones looking for salvation to bring us out of this quandary of which we live. Josh Wilson, singer, songwriter, shares these sentiments in his song Before the Morning. He writes, "Do you wonder why you have to feel the things that hurt you? If there's a God who loves you, where is he now? Maybe there are things you can't see, and all those things are happening to bring a better ending. Someday, somehow, you'll see. You'll see. Would you dare? Would you dare to believe that you still have a reason to sing because the pain that you've been feeling can't compare to the joy that's coming? So hold on. You've got to wait for the light. Press on, just fight the good fight, because the pain you've been feeling, it's just the dark before the morning." Today we light the candle of hope. We light it for a couple of reasons. Unlike the Jews, we are not waiting for the coming of the Anointed One who is to relieve us of our imprisonment in sin. That has been done. Rather, like coming to the table and partaking in communion, we remember the hope that has been given through Christ's life, death, and resurrection. We aren't waiting in anticipation, but rather celebrating what has already been granted. Secondly, we approach Advent in the mindset of Paul. He reminds us that our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The welcoming of Advent gives us the opportunity to wake up. It is the start of a new year, a chance to wake up to a new day, a new outlook, and a new life to receive and to give. We celebrate Advent to reawaken our lives that the hour of our salvation is at any time. It is at our choosing. Once we accept and we wake up, this present life we live can be given up like waking up from a bad dream. to find the sun beaming in through our bedroom window. We do not have to face the darkness anymore. For when our life has reached its darkness, we have hope. Do you see it? There in the distance, it seems to be a speck of light, a tiny star in an otherwise black night. As they say in the movies, as you enter death, follow the light. Walk towards it, for that light will grant you life. And do this, understanding this present time. The hour has come for you to wake up from your slumber, because your salvation is nearer now than when you first believed. To God be the